Hi there. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Meet the Developer Live, hosted by the City of Austin Economic Development Department and Catellus Development Corp. We'd like to welcome you and thank you for tuning in. Before we get the show started, we do have translation services. And so I want to turn it over right now to Larissa Davila from BCO Consulting. She's going to be sharing a little bit more with our viewers who want to connect.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Larissa Dávila y soy la intérprete de inglés a español. Si usted necesita interpretación en este momento, le pedimos que por favor llame al teléfono 512-831-7858 y una vez que esté en la línea, marque el número de identificación de la conferencia, que es el 427-372-960. Repito, si usted necesita servicios de interpretación, le pedimos que por favor llame en este momento al 512-831-7858 con el número de conferencia 427-372-960 y ahí tendremos interpretación simultánea.
Thank you, Larissa. So for everyone else who's joining us, we do want to give you a little recap about the Colony Park Sustainable Community. Many of you have heard about the project. It's been going on since 2012, and actually it was a project that was funded by a $3 million HUD grant provided to the City of Austin Neighborhood Housing and Community Development Corp. This project started as a master development planning process, and so we've been spending some time working on this for some time. Some key milestones to share with you is that in 2014, the Austin City Council voted to approve the Colony Park Master Plan. This was after 3 years of public engagement process and input from the community. We've now reached another major milestone, and it's reason why we're here with you today. In May, the City of Austin Economic Development Department signed the exclusive negotiation agreement with Catellus Development Corp. So with that, I want to introduce our first guest, who is with the City of Austin Economic Development Office, and that is David Gray. He's the Public Information and Marketing Manager. Welcome, David.
Hey, how's it going?
Going good.
Good. Well, Dr. Cortez, it's great to be with you this evening. Hey, everybody watching live on Facebook, and those who might be watching later, it's great to see y'all as well, and to be a part of this conversation to really talk about and highlight this awesome project. The Colony Park Sustainable Community is a legacy project for the community and for the city. We recognize that the community has advocated for this site and community benefits in the region for many years, and we are so excited to finally have the exclusive negotiating agreement signed and to enter into this next phase of work with the community at the lead and Catellus as our development partner. For those of you who don't know, the Colony Park Sustainable Community is the largest redevelopment opportunity in the city of Austin since the Mueller development. This site is 208 acres and presents amazing opportunities to bring community benefits to the Colony Park and Lakeside Hill communities, as well as Northeast Austin and this portion of Travis County. These benefits include things like mixes of housing types, retail space and office space, a transit center, and so much more. And many of these items are things that align with the priorities from the community as expressed in the 8 pillars of need, which you see on your screen right now. For us at the city, we recognize that these benefits are especially important to so many in our community in the wake of the health and the financial crises caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Redeveloping this site in partnership with the community is a priority for our department and for the entire city of Austin. And so although we're all teleworking, as you can see by the beautiful wall behind me, please rest assured that we are not slowing down on our commitment to deliver this project. This site also aligns with many of the priorities in the city's overall strategic direction 2023. For example, the project aligns with our economic opportunity and affordability outcome by trying to bring more economic opportunities to this community. It aligns with our mobility outcome through working in partnership with Capital Metro on a regional mobility planning to position Colony Park in alignment with projects like Project Connect and the green line and the purple line priorities. This project aligns with our health and environmental outcomes by negotiating with Central Health to develop a health and wellness center in the Colony Park sustainable community. And last but certainly not least, it aligns with our government that works for all outcome by continuing to model transparency, accountability, and accessibility to the community. So again, our team is looking forward to continuing the great work with the community, as well as working with our development partners over at Catellus on the next phase of this project and ultimately fulfilling this long-standing promise to the community. So thank you, Dr. Cortez. Again, it's a pleasure to be with everybody this evening.
Thank you, David, and thank you for that rich history of giving us all the work that's been taking place prior to this very big milestone. So for everyone watching, I also know that you want to meet the Catellus team, and some of you do know them for their long-standing work that's been taking place in Austin and around the country. So without further ado, we're going to introduce our first guest, which is Greg Weaver. He's the Executive Vice President of Catellus, and he's going to be joining us. There he is. Hi, Greg.
Hey, Dr. Cortez. Hey, David. How are you?
We're doing good. Welcome.
Yeah, doing great.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So, Greg, we've had the fortune to work with you, but there's a lot of viewers here that are excited to meet you. They want to know a little bit about who you are in the community, and as well as they want to know a little bit about Catellus. So if you could share a little of that with us.
Absolutely. First, we are crazy excited about working on Colony Park. We know for the community, it's been a long time dream, and with the city, a long time project. And we're so excited to be taking on and partnering with the community, partnering with the city on this next phase. Despite COVID, we are full steam ahead. We are working on due diligence. We're working on the site. We're working on planning, working on reaching out to the community. And so although we can't see each other in person, we are doing a lot behind the scenes and pushing this project forward. A little bit about Catellus, and some of you know this, and some of you may not. Our company is a little over 35 years old, and we have this unique aspect of our business of partnering with public agencies on large land development deals throughout the United States. The unique part of that is many times very similar to Colony Park. There's a plan, there's a vision, there's something that the communities come together on, and we get the fun part of executing on the plan as the master developer, as the partner. And I think that the importance of all that is we respect the community plan, we respect the history, we respect what goes into this. And our job is really to go execute on the vision and the plan. So again, we're really excited about it. High level about Catellus, we have the Miller project in Austin, Texas, as we talked about. We have a new project in San Antonio. We have projects in Arizona, California, Colorado, New Jersey, Illinois, all throughout, and a large amount of those are public-private partnerships. And something important for the community to really understand from us, we look at every project uniquely and differently. Every project has something, many, many things that are unique to it. And so we try to come in with a very open mind and open mentality about what the project is, what's important to the community, what's important to our partners, the city. And so we go into it eyes wide open, and we'll continue to ask a lot of questions and continue to learn as we really dig into the project. So I'm going to introduce a few of our team members who are going to join us today. There's many more. First, Sergio Negrete, who is our Director of Development. He's going to play a big role on this. 8-year Catellus employee and representative, and then Jessica Reynolds, also working with the community, and I believe she's 15 or 16 years, came straight out of the University of Texas to come into work. It was Jessica Guerra when we first met her, and now she's married to children. And we have many other team members, Leah Lopez, who works on our vertical development components, Carl Paulson, who does horizontal, Faye Dye, who's kind of our financials. I won't go through them all. You all get to meet them all. Ideally, we'd be in all one room together, but we had to limit the number of people. So we'll be around a lot. And then with Catellus today, we bring on a lot of local partnerships and local consultants. Specifically today, we have McCann Adams Studios working from a planning standpoint. They helped us on Miller. They've helped us actually in some of our projects in California. They're based here in Austin, Texas. And then Civiltude, local engineers, civil engineers who are helping us a lot with the due diligence. They're on our team. And then we're excited with the city consultants that are in place today. Dr. Cortez and Cortez Consulting, who's going to carry on with the community outreach, the public relations. Laura Toops with Dunaway and Associates, who is a civil engineer working, from the planning standpoint and continuing on. And then Darren Smith with EPS, Economic Planning System. So you get to see the whole team here now, our limited team, but there'll be a lot more of us when we can all meet in person.
Thank you, Greg. It's great to know that we have a local partner kind of supporting us, and it sounds like you guys are ready to hit the ground running. I think one of the big things as we get into the community is, and Jessica, I'm going to be introducing Jessica next and have an opportunity for her to share about who she is and her role. But I think the biggest thing is, this project has taken some time. I think for the community, they really want to better understand, what does a master developer do? I know that's a question that you guys often get when you're on the road, people asking like, well, what do you exactly do? And where does construction and all those pieces? So for everybody tuning in, this is the next part. We kind of want to share and walk you through those stages of the project so you can prepare yourself and kind of understand. The first phase of our public engagement was really for the master planning, to understand what your vision was, to know what the needs are in Colony Park, Lakeside, in that entire 5 census tract area. And now we have this part of the process, which now allows Catellus to go out into the community and work and hear directly from you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Jessica. Thank you for being here. Jessica, you want to unmute? There we go.
Technology.
You're still muted.
One more click.
Jesus.
There we go.
Sorry, guys. Thank you, Laura. As Greg mentioned, I'm Jessica Reynolds. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Catellus. I've been with Catellus going on 15 years, and I'm responsible for the marketing, communications, public relations, and community outreach for our projects nationwide, based in Austin, but working on projects in San Antonio, in Arizona, California, a few of the places that Greg mentioned. So a little bit about what a master developer does. It's a question we often get asked. It's a term that's not always familiar with people, but ultimately, Catellus as the master developer will be a steward for the Colony Park Sustainable Communities Project. Our purpose is to maintain relationships, all of our partnerships with the city, the community, our development partners, such as home builders, central health, apartment developers, and consultants. Performing community outreach, learning more about what's important to the community, even beyond the 8 pillars of need that have already been identified. And as time goes on, these needs change and grow. So constantly keeping up. Typically, we'd be meeting in person. Today, we're virtual. But those ideas will go into every aspect of our design and development for Colony Park. We are also responsible for the public infrastructure. We fund and we build the roads, utilities, parks, open spaces, and ultimately look for connectivity and both on-site and off-site improvements as the project is being built. And we do some vertical development. So you may see Catellus building potentially an office building or some retail buildings, but typically we mostly partner with our best-in-class developers and home builders for homes and apartment communities, since that's not our specialty. And ultimately, our purpose is to bring the community and the city's vision into reality, to execute a plan that can meet the changing market, that can meet the changing goals of the community and our partners. So a little bit more, I'm going to hit really quickly onto community outreach because we talked a bit about that. But Catellus nationwide, we are known for our open and collaborative process. We have an extensive track record of active community engagements in Austin at Miller and some of our other projects in San Antonio, and particularly California. We have a lot of active community members and stakeholders, along with complicated and additional regulatory environments and agencies that work with us. The trust of our community and the surrounding neighbors, the stakeholders are really important for us to be able to deliver on Colony Park's goals and the visions and the 8 pillars. There will be times when we need to tweak, when we need to be creative, when we need to try new ideas in order to deliver one of the important aspects to the community, and having the support will help us while we're working with developers and partners to be able to execute on all of the new ideas and the changing conditions. So ultimately, we will be meeting with you guys in person, hopefully soon, so we don't have to worry about muted microphones. And we can see you guys both in large community meetings, additional online meetings. We are always open to suggestions, all the way down from a cup of coffee to neighborhood association meetings and community events. So there's emails for Colony Park, and you can always reach us that way, or you can find us on our Catellus website as well.
Thank you, Jessica. So just so the community knows, we will keep announcing the next steps, and we're planning to move probably in July. I know a lot of you are probably thinking about the time off, but we will be launching in July some community meetings. So you'll be hearing about that. We'll be keeping that out there, making sure that people are informed about what's happening next. So now that we've talked about what is a developer and hopefully given folks just a sense of what their role is going to be, I think we also would love to hear from Sergio. And Sergio, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. And he's going to be sharing with us like what is happening before the construction phase, and kind of tell us about that next processes.
Sure, no problem. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Sergio Negrete. I was born and raised here in Austin, in North Austin. And my role for this particular team is leading the charge for Catellus and overseeing the day-to-day activities throughout this process and efforts to bring the community's vision into reality. And so this process for Catellus began in 2017 when the city issued a request for qualifications and a request for proposal, and the city ultimately selected Catellus to be their partner in this process. Since we were selected, we've been working to create our partnership, and in May, as Laura alluded to, of this year, we signed our exclusive negotiating agreement with the city, which allows us to work exclusively with the city on the Colony Park project. Since this agreement was signed, we began evaluating the existing land plan, identifying challenges and opportunities with the land, and researching the real estate market. This process could take up to 24 months, which at that time we hope to formalize a formal partnership agreement with the city, which will establish our obligations as master developer on the Colony Park project and allow us to begin developing the infrastructure, marketing the sites to home builders, commercial developers, and businesses. We are managing a number of tasks in this short period of time, and ultimately it boils down to 3 really important things for us, which are planning, financing, and outreach. During this planning process, we're going to be studying the trail systems, the sidewalks, the streets, the bike lanes, connections to and from existing and future neighborhoods to the Colony Park and the Colony District Park that is now a new wonderful park to this area. We're going to be studying the roads, the intersections, how they lay out according to the project and the surrounding areas, and the layout of the home and commercial lots as well. In this process, we're going to evaluate the existing and future utilities, streets, and open space. We're going to study the environmental elements and understand the expansive soils that are in the area, and understand the critical environmental features that are on site, and look at ways to address the water quality and detention for the entire 208 acres. On a parallel path, we're going to begin to investigate financing options, which will include understanding the costs of developing the associated utilities, roads, and open space, and addressing the environmental needs that are on site. We're going to identify potential funding sources and understand the real estate market and demand in the area. The most important part to us is the community part. And on a parallel path, we're going to begin and continue our outreach, which is, like Jessica mentioned, attending community meetings and events. We're going to plan special outreach meetings for plan input. We're going to identify potential partners such as retailers, home builders, developers, Central Health, and others. We are going to continue to fine-tune these items, continue to engage with the community as we work towards our master development agreement. We are planning to complete the first phase of due diligence of our outreach and report back to City Council in October. The community support is important to us, and we hope that you all support us as we approach the City Council date and efforts to bring the community's vision to reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. And we hope that those graphics has helped everybody just kind of, we're going to continue as we go out in the community, continue to reiterate what this process is and where we are. These graphics have been great just to kind of show you guys where we have a starting point. But I think also it's good, and whoever might want to chime in, David or Greg, we want to talk a little bit. We see some people kind of tuning in, and if you have any questions, definitely let us know. But this project would not be possible without the number of partners that we have had in the community, both through the city, private partners, those folks that have joined us throughout this time. Many of you have probably heard of the work we've been doing. We've had tremendous advocacy that has been done on behalf of the Colony Park Neighborhood Association, primarily Miss Barbara Scott, Miss Helen Miller, and several others. All of you that are out there that know these community leaders, they've been working on issues and getting things done. Many of you probably have taken part also in knowing that the district park at Colony Park has now opened. We had a grand opening right before we went into this pandemic in March. We are also working on, and hopefully very soon we'll be seeing some work with our partners at PARD for the swimming pool. We'll be doing community engagement in various different aspects. And of course, everybody at the Turner Roberts Center who continues to support our project and hosting meetings. They've been doing food access out there also. So for those of you that are tuning in, please keep an eye out. They're continuing to work with Brighter Bites and various different other partners. But also, if you guys want to share a little bit also about Farm Share and the food access as well as Central Health. And I know Catellus is playing a role in that as well as the city.
You want me to take
Sure. Do you want to share with the role
or Jessica?
Go for it.
Hey, I will. You added a lot there, Dr. Cortez. So I just had I think the unique thing about Colony Park is that I saw a question about being involved with the community, is so much of the community has been the driver, in partnership with the city. And we kind of stress this, and a lot of our public-private partnerships, you have community that's so involved. And I think the key, for anyone who's, a stakeholder in the community is getting engaged and getting involved. There's going to be a lot. Sergio mentioned there's going to be a lot of things happening over the next 24 months. And some of it's just kind of down and dirty. He mentioned soil. Literally, we're going to go test the soil out there and, do things like that aren't that exciting. But then there's going to be things that we're going to be looking at, the plans and the parks and the trails and the connectivity and, rails, something that's been talked about with the Green Line and discussions with Cap Metro and the surrounding neighborhoods. There's so many different aspects of this. So, making sure that your name is included, in the distributions of all these various meetings that are going to happen, so you guys can get involved, being engaged in it. And then all the different community groups that Dr. Cortez mentioned are all groups that have been, way before we've been involved, have been a part of Colony Park. And the website that's scrolling, I love this. It's like the news scroll at the bottom here. That's how you can get information. I believe you can put your name and email address and everything else in there. And as we start rolling things out, you're going to hear a lot from our team and our group. And I do give a nod to the community, like Miss Scott. who's been working on this with the community out there and many others for many, many years. And this is so important that we get it right. And we can get it right if we are hearing from you and working side by side with the community. That's the way these projects like this can be a huge success.
And I know that there's the question on who's the community, and the community is very broad. It's everyone, anyone who's interested, from neighbors to city stakeholders to academics who are just interested in how the process works. We often work with anyone from grad students to other cities and departments that are public that want to just learn how the process is handling. So it's not just immediately adjacent homes that we consider our community. It's really much broader than that. This will have a ripple effect and affect much more than just the surrounding neighborhoods in the area.
And Jessica, I'm glad you pointed that out, because we did start with a lot of academics in the University of Texas at Austin, the Division of Diversity and Community Engagement. We started with students who actually helped us block walk and collect information. And right now we're working on a committee that's going to be creating a community video so we can have something long-standing for everyone to view on the website to hear the history and the story of how this all began. So with that said, it doesn't seem we have any more questions coming in. Our live broad stream will stay live on our website, which was just scrolled through. So that's colonyparkatx.org. It will also live on the Facebook page. But before we get off, we want to let you know to save the date, because as we mentioned, that just as important of this process, all of our partners who are working at the city, as well as Catellus, the developer, we are going to have a community Facebook Live, and that will be on July 16th. So we'll be bringing on many of the community members who have played a significant role with this project. We'll be asking some questions. If there's anything you want to ask of them, please let us know as we get things posted. But at this time, we just want to thank everybody for tuning in. It says there's a timeline. We have one more question.
Yeah, I just saw that, that one question there.
Yeah.
The question is really about the timeline, and Miller took many years. We signed, to give you a comparison to Miller timeline, we signed an ENA agreement in 2004. We signed a master development agreement in ENA agreement in 2002. Thank you, Jessica. The master development agreement in 2004, we broke ground in 2005. So, if you compare that to where we are today, we just signed the ENA agreement this past month, and Sergio mentioned it. It's going to take us about 24 months, we anticipate, to do our community outreach, to do our kind of research and due diligence and homework, and ultimately to get to a master development agreement. So that's, that puts us into 2022. Hopefully, closely thereafterwards, we will be breaking ground. Now, there are some things that are being worked on that, could happen before that. There's been discussions of central health and other things, but from the overall development agreement, we have 24 months from today to get everything done and get the development agreement done. And then hopefully, if it's 6 or 12 months after that, ground will be broken out there. And then, the timeline for how long the entire development happens, we haven't even got to that level yet. Is it a 10-year project? We don't know at this point, but those are all things that we'll be studying over the next couple of years, and we'll have a better timeline expectation, at least, as we do our homework and do due diligence.
Well, thank you, Greg, Jessica, and Sergio for joining us from Catellus, and we're excited we got to introduce them to you guys. David for joining us through the City of Austin Economic Development, and all of the project team who works behind the scenes. The other thing I want to let you know is that we have this live, but we will be also having a public meeting once we go out in the community and get your feedback, learn a little bit more about the project within the next 2 months. We'll be having something as well, so keep an eye out. That will be a much longer broadcast. But for right now, we just want to, whoops, we got another question. We looped into Colony Park. What we can do, Charlotte, is we can answer your question. I think that's something that we can answer directly to the Facebook. Does that work for everybody? Okay. Well, with that said, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, thanks to our guest, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Cortez.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.